Was the valve cover. Was the valve cover gasket. This thing's no longer smoking. So we're good to drive it as far as we want. Still a tiny bit wet down there, but that's residual. It's all gonna burn off anyway. Okay, so as you can see in the videos, I solved the issue of the leak. It did turn out to be oil. When I slathered RTV all over the valve cover where I thought it was leaking, as you can see, there was oil pulled up. And when I tapped it with a towel again to pick the oil up, it was definitely oil, and it was caramel colored, just like I thought it was earlier. So that really confirmed that, yes, it was in fact an oil leak. I believe I pinched the gasket pretty much right there, right next to injector 4. I slathered it quite a distance along top of the valve cover because I found out it was pinched like probably for like a good 4 or 5 inches along top of the valve cover around where the injector for cylinder 4 is, which is, you know, quite a bit that I messed up when I was assembling the motor. To be honest, I thought that I had put the gasket on properly. I did it when the motor was out and not when it was in the car. So I thought I looked it over. I remember looking it over and that it was all good to go, but I guess I couldn't see that well in my garage at the time, but I thought it was good. But as you can see, it just kept leaking oil. Now what you can see in the final video is you can see, you're like, well, why is it so smoking? Well, it's actually smoking out of the breather like it's supposed to, off the breather on the valve cover, and not from the valve cover gasket leak. So it's no longer leaking, and the valve cover breathers are, you know, letting the PCV just vent to atmosphere because that's what I want it to do. It's a lot easier than using a fucking catch can. I don't like having a fucking catch can. The engine bay is already tight enough as it is with the Pro Charger and all the fucking tubing for that to get that into the motor. So I don't want to remote mount a oil catch can somewhere with a breather. It's just gonna toss oil all over the fucking place somewhere else anyway. I'd rather have it on top of the valve cover where I can see it happening, and that way, you know, if I see it start pulling up, I just wipe it down with a fucking rag before I go ahead and drive the car. I leave the hood up because I have a trickle charger on the battery because, you know, it's winter time, so I don't drive it that much. You know, if it's a nice day here or there, that's when I drive it. But yeah, so we solved our issue, which is awesome because now I feel like I can drive this thing anywhere I want to. And I definitely will. This really means that now I can really start finalizing the tune. I will be driving it down to Tempest Racing down in Waldorf to rent his dyno soon. I'm not 100% sure when. If Joe Simpson wants to film it, I'll let him film it. How much power is this thing gonna make? I don't fucking know. It feels pretty damn strong. Especially for like my first engine, and it's running a bit more boost and all that sort of shit that you know, first engine I built, sorry, and running a bit more boost with the upgraded impeller and stuff like that. So how much it's gonna make, I don't know. It was running about 6-ish pounds. It's on about 9. I would like to, at least on this pulley, since this is actually the biggest pulley that you can get for a P1, I think this is like a 4-inch or 3.9-inch pulley. I would love to see this thing make a little over 400. It definitely feels like it's making really good power. If it makes a little over 400 as it sits right now, I'll be happy. I'm not sure if I said this in a previous video, but my goal for the car is to make 500 tire. And this is through a T45 5-speed manual. And I have no doubt that this engine can do it. And this Pro Charger can do it. P1SC with an upgraded impeller. It's just a question of how much boost do I need to shove down its throat till it makes that power. I don't think it's going to be much more than this, honestly. I think 12, 15 at most. It's still running 93 octane. 93 is getting a little expensive around where I live. If it starts getting more expensive, I might look to switch to E85. There's becoming more and more E85 stations near me, but, you know, not quite enough where I want to run full E. So I'd probably get a Haltech flex fuel sensor because I have a Elite 2000. Wire that in, and I would just run it on flex fuel and retune it on flex fuel. but that's for a later date. In terms of trying to do a valve cover gasket on this car, I will say passenger side, a lot more room, but almost kind of as tricky to get out as the driver's side. I've done the driver's side a couple of times. Maybe that's why it doesn't seem like that bad to me, because this is the first time I've ever actually had to do the passenger side with the engine actually in the car. But the driver's side, I felt it was tighter, but I felt I could get it out easier. Again, maybe because I've done it 5 or 6 times. But passenger side, as you can see from the picture here, a lot more room. I did move a few more things that I wanted to. I really moved the loom out of the way. I moved the coil pack on that side and its bracket off just to make it a little bit easier for myself. If you're thinking about doing this at home, you can definitely do it. It's not too difficult, but there is some stuff you have to move. I believe I also pulled the heater hose that goes into the heater core in the back. I pulled one of them just to give myself a little bit more room, spilled a little bit of coolant down the back, but fuck it, whatever makes it easier to get on during, at the time. Another trick I will say is that in the valve cover, it's hard to get the gasket to stay, even though it does have a slot, it stays in. What I would suggest for anyone out there trying to do this, no matter which side you're doing, is to get some grease, some red and tacky grease, and just put a little bit amount around that entire slot that goes around the outside the valve cover where the gasket sits. That way, it keeps the gasket in there. So when you flip it upside down, it doesn't just fall right out like how it would without any of that red and tacky in there. So any sort of grease like that will hold it, and don't use a lot. I don't think it getting in the engine is really going to harm anything if it does. But yeah, that's what I did, and it worked great. Like I could give it a little bit of a shake, and it still didn't really come out. So that definitely makes your life a lot easier when trying to get it on and not have it leak, because doing this, this is not fun to really do in the car. I want to say it took me maybe 2.5 hours after never doing it before to do this side, and to get it on without any issues. Afterwards, as you can see in the final video, I actually merged 3 videos together. It's not leaking anymore yet. It's a little wet. It's just residual from when it was leaking, but everything is good to go now. This thing doesn't have any leaks or anything. It drives great, runs great. Other than I think there's a little bit of tunability. A little more drivability tuning, that I need to do when it comes to the idle. The idle every once in a while, it has to do with my settings, not with any problem with mechanically of how I have it set up. But it's actually running pretty good. I've gotten the idle to stop sort of hunting when it has to rev up a little bit for the fans and stuff like that. So it only revs up once or twice and then it comes down. I used to just constantly rev up and down and up and down and up and down until I pump the gas. So I'm still learning how to tune this thing, but it's coming along. The drivability a lot better than what it was. The idle's coming down a lot better than it was. Another thing I have to do is really work on the spark table around where the drivability, where I drive this thing the most, around probably the 30 to 60, 70-ish kPa range, around 1,500 to about 3,000 RPM. That's where I really need to work on the timing on this as well. I think in some parts it's a little lazy and I have to give it too much gas than I need to. I think I can up the timing at low load areas like that and not have to give it almost any gas. But that's what I really wanted to see on the dyno when I go to Joe Simpson's, because he has a hub dyno and it's load bearing. So you can do steady state tuning, which is going to be really helpful for getting the drivability all worked out for this thing. And then in terms of what else this thing needs, tires. The tires on this, I don't want to beat the hell out of it. Not because I don't think the engine can take it, but because, the tires on this are 7 or 8 years old. It needs new tires. The rims that I want, not really available. I'm thinking about buying some from third-party manufacturer and then buying tires and getting them mounted and balanced myself. Not by me, but somewhere. I prefer to buy them all just to buy it already done, but it looks like if I want to do that, it's gonna be a 3 or 4 month wait, and I don't want to wait that long. So I'm probably gonna buy some rims and tires for it here soon and just have them mounted and balanced somewhere. I don't know where, probably a Walmart. And then get those on here, and then hopefully take it down on a decent weekend to finish off the tune on this thing, and then see how much power it makes. Another video that I want to do soon is a video actually on how to verify the timing on a mod motor. I could not really find a video on this, at least for 4.6 when I was searching on YouTube, and I had to do some digging on the forums and shit and on Google and to see how to do it, because I wanted to verify timing on my car and it was spot on. So a lot of people say you don't need to do it because we have we got a crank trigger and then we have a cam trigger, so that way the computer knows where top dead center is. But it's always good to verify anyway. In case it's off, you can adjust it. So I'm looking forward to maybe on a decent weekend making that here soon as well, so that way anyone else that's wondering can look at that. Or maybe I'll make a video doing later, sort of explaining it, and then a video of me actually doing it. But anyway, sort of rambled on here for like 12 minutes or some shit. So I'm gonna cut it here and get this video out. See you in the next one.